Good afternoon, everyone. First, I'd like to thank the ABTA for today's event, and more importantly, for the hard work and advocacy throughout the year. Obviously, as a survivor myself, I have firsthand appreciation for that, so to all the staff and everyone back in Chicago, thank you very much. I'd also like to thank one of my oldest and dearest friends, Amy Smith, who, now that I'm looking, is actually right up here, which is no surprise, along with Susan Sutter, who I think is in the back. Two of my friends from childhood, actually, who coordinated a massive fundraising event that contributed to what we were ultimately able to deliver. It not only garnered media attention, but it raised over $15,000 and also served as a reunion of sorts for me, which was really special. Brought together over 350 people from my childhood, so it was high school classmates, teachers, teammates, coaches, many of whom I hadn't seen in 15 years, from people from my hometown. So we used it as a reunion and obviously a way to galvanize support for this great cause. And that was all due to the efforts of those two women that I just mentioned earlier. So it was obviously meaningful for this fundraiser, but also meaningful for me. And I just like to thank them and recognize them as well, so that they're here today. And just thank you for bearing with me on the recognition of a few people, and then I'll move on. But thank you to my partner, Amy Taylor, who I think is also probably up here shooting photos of me, who I fell in love with a matter of weeks before my diagnosis in 2010, and she hasn't left my side since. So obviously, I love you, and thank you so much for everything that you've done. In October of 2010, I had a 3-day headache that led to an exploratory MRI and ultimately a grade 2 astrocytoma diagnosis. I was 33, I was really healthy, newly in love, as I mentioned, and tearing it up on a regular basis. So obviously it was very difficult and striking news for me. I was really open about the diagnosis and the process from the very beginning, both at work and in my personal life. And I found this paid me back right from the start in many ways, which I'll describe. A month later, after many doctor's appointments, and I'm sure most everyone in this room can relate to that, and endless research, I had an awake surgery. It was a partial resection of the left temporal lobe. They took between 30 and 70% of the tumor, depending on who you ask, and I'm sure, again, you can all relate to that. Still unknown how much they were able to take, but obviously they had to, first and foremost, make sure that whatever they did take, that was done safely. You know, I always had a good outlook on life, always a positive and upbeat person, adventurous, but I walked away from the surgery with a renewed sense of self and jumped back into things with new fervor, with the support of all my incredible friends from near and far. Earlier this summer, which is a year and a half later from my original diagnosis, I received the news that my tumor was growing and that radiation would be a necessary next step for me. I really didn't expect another treatment to come so soon after surgery, but I took it in stride and really just prepared myself mentally and physically for the next step. And as you can probably tell by now, I'm a very open person, and radiation would be no different. I decided to write a daily update with photos and publish it on social media to really share my experience with people near and far. So the posts on a daily basis had everything from like what treatment day it was, to the music that was playing when I was having my treatment, my mood, the friends and loved ones who would join me each day for treatment, my route to treatment in the aftermath of Hurricane Sandy here in New York, which on a couple of occasions included a 5-mile walk. My frustration, of course, my hair loss, which is hidden under here. I'm pretty lucky that I had minimal hair loss under this big curly bouffant. There is a little bit missing. And then, of course, my fundraising results for the ABTA, which was also in the middle of my radiation treatment. Actually, November 10th, the day that the race was originally intended, was right in the middle of my treatment, which meant that these efforts and the sort of collaboration and spirit with all of you had an extra special role in my treatment process. We actually, our team, decided to still do the 5K on the day that it was originally intended. So even though it was canceled, we ran our own across the Williamsburg Bridge and back, and we did it in costume. And actually, if you see some funny-looking photos coming up in the cycle, that's what you'll see. But jumping back to how I was capturing my experience, I also wrote about my fatigue, my exasperation, and of course my adventurous spirit and fun activities on some of the days. I had taken time off from work to go through my treatment, so it wasn't all bad. I received universal love and support for being open, but I guess that's to be expected. But I also received other different feedback about my style of communication, my openness, my willingness to share this tough time with everyone. I just want to share with you guys a couple of quotes that I got back during that time where I was posting every day pictures of my experience and sharing with everyone how I was feeling, good, bad, and otherwise. A couple of quotes. So, thank you for being open. It's inspiring and courageous. You are amazing, and you remind me to put my challenges in context and appreciate every moment, insight, person, experience, etc. So thanks. Congrats. You are a true inspiration, and you will always have prayers and love. And from your fans over here, big hug. Your courage and spirit are so inspiring. It's been pretty amazing and a source of inspiration for me reading your daily blogs, and I'm glad you clarified that you didn't select all the music. I was beginning to wonder. I had some boy bands in there, sorry, there's probably some fans, young people in here enjoying the boy bands, but that was kind of hilarious for me to listen to during radiation. Another quote, congrats rock star, your star shines bright, love you girl, keep lighting the way. Wicked mask dude, the radiation mask, which I also documented. Glad to raise a glass to the end of it last night, love you lots. And one last quote, unfortunately too many of us will have to battle cancer at some time in our lives. The full impact of your journey and sharing your story is so much greater than any of us can know. Thank you. So day after day I was open, I gave strength, I got strength. What an amazing feedback loop to have during a time like this. And I realize not everyone can or will deal with their battle in the same way. But I share my own story in hopes that each person in the fight exposes a little bit more of themselves to the world for both the outgoing gift that so many will receive, but for the amazing boomerang that comes back around to fuel you forward. So thank you very much to everyone in this room and to the ABTA, and of course my loved ones that came to support me. I really appreciate it, and I wish you all the best of luck on your journeys as well.